all the work I put into these booby cups, and this is the best I can get them. A little sad, but it's what we've got. So this is what I'm going with. God. R.I.P. my grandma's curtains for this one because I harvested them and am putting them to a very different use than hanging in a window. We're making a Grinch costume! This green velvet window dressing fabric that I got from my grandma's house when we took her window curtains, I don't know, window decorations down. I was like, this is kind of an awful color. What do I do with it? And it's Christmas time, and I'm like, the Grinch. It's gotta be the Grinch. I've got all these Grinch costumes, all these Christmas looking things. We're making a Grinch costume, but we're gonna make it kind of cute and make it into something that I could wear other outfits with and make other characters with. Like, it could be the Joker, it could be Poison Ivy. It's just green, it's a solid base. I don't want to keep you waiting. In this house, we craft in pajamas. Let's get to it. This adventure definitely started by tearing these curtains out of my grandmother's window. And I'm gonna watch the Grinch movie while I do it and see if I can finish the whole costume before the movie is over. The pattern that I'm using for the top part of this dress is available on Etsy, and there is a really good video online showing you exactly how to use it, what to do, step by step, everything. It's phenomenal. I will link that in the description below because this creator is amazing, and I highly, highly, highly recommend buying the pattern and using it. My other absolute recommendation is that if you are going to use a velvet-like fabric for any project, just put a ton of pins in it. That fabric is so slippery, and when you sew it, it'll just want to go everywhere. So just use the pins, sew over the pins if you have to. Don't be afraid of them. Cindy Lou Who just nominated the Grinch for the holiday Hubelmeister, whatever. I gotta get going. I haven't even sewn these pieces together yet. This is the whole thing. I'm definitely racing the clock on this project, and so I'm trying to move as quickly as possible and be as efficient as possible because I want to try and finish this before the movie is over, and it's not a long movie. I have to iron a whole bunch of pieces, so I'm gonna go get my ironing board and bring it upstairs, and I've been avoiding doing this because I just don't want to lug it up 2 flights of stairs, but here I go. This took a lot more effort than I was anticipating, and now I'm tired. I'm a little winded, but I must keep going. I will also say that velvet is tricky to iron, but because this velvet is like, you know, so old and crusty already that I just, you know, pressed it right down and it was just fine this time. Maybe not next time, but this time it was. The Grinch Just Stole Christmas, and it's taken me 20 minutes of the film to just pin these booby cups together. And I have like 4 more left to do. I'm not gonna finish on time. I decided to give it my best shot anyways, and to start chain stitching things like I've never chain stitched things together before, and use the really fast photo thing on my camera to make it seem like it's going a lot faster than it actually was, because this is a slow process, and this is not a quick project, turns out. Like, do you see how absolutely everything is falling apart for the Grinch, but he is just trying his best and doing his darndest? That is me right now. I can relate. Also, I'm really proud of this top stitching. It looks good. The movie is over. I failed because I'm still working on the booby cups. But you know what? I'm closer to finishing now than when I started. So I'm just gonna keep going. And maybe in like another hour and a half, probably closer to like 3 or 4 hours, I'll be done with this project. Even though I had absolutely failed in my goal to finish this entire project before the hour-and-a-half long movie was over, I do realize that was quite a lofty goal. I am still trying my best to work on it, and I'm finally to the point where I'm sewing a lot of the layers together. And heads up, when you do this, and if it's velvet, and if you're sewing over pins, go slow. I busted like 5 pins in this project, and it's not worth it because my sewing machine definitely needed a little bit of attention afterward. Hey, also clip your seams. This is a fun little trick too. If you sew the lining down, it stays better. I also am beginning to really appreciate the color of this material. Oh yeah, and sewing boning channels, because I almost forgot to do that. All the work I put into these booby cups, and this is the best I can get them to look. They just will not sit in the little like U shapes the way that I want them to. They're wrinkly, they are a little sad, but it's what we've got. So this is what I'm going with. Oh God. Again, feeling very defeated, but deciding to soldier on and stitch these booby cups into place. Adding the bones into the channel is my least favorite part of this process, so this is all you're seeing of me do it. And then I cut and sewed this band to the very bottom of the bodice, and this is a video, but it's so slow motion you could never tell. The last part I did was punch the holes and use my grommets and grommet pliers and E6000 to put the lace-up grommets into the back. The glue works really, really well on velvet, just a heads up. It is a new day. Somehow I thought this corset top was only going to take me a couple of hours. Well, this was about 6 hours to make. I don't know why it took me so long. Maybe it was because I was like watching documentaries and I got interested in it and I kept taking breaks. It's probably because I kept taking breaks, but it's done now. And all I have left to do is I just have to make the skirt and then the little heart that goes on the outside of it. So we're gonna keep working because I want it to be done today. I'd hoped it was done yesterday. Maybe I'll rewatch The Grinch while I make the skirt. I can definitely finish the skirt in an hour and a half. That's an easy thing to do. I say that, but who knows if it's really gonna be easy. Sometimes you curse yourself, you know? Sometimes you curse yourself. Also, this is a visual of all of the fabric that I harvested from those drapes at my grandma's house. I cut them into a circle skirt, well, it's 2 pieces of a circle skirt, and then used a billion pins to pin it together because remember, velvet is very slippery. I pinned and sewed the waistband to the waist, and as a pro tip, because this is upholstery velvet, I'm using upholstery thread to sew this on because it is a heavy-duty thread for a heavy-duty material. And remember when I thought this was going to be a quick project also? Just sewing this waistband on took me an hour. That is not quick! Feeling very ready for this whole thing to be done and over, it's time to trim the hem. I used this giant yardstick and just carefully go through the entire skirt, trimming and measuring and measuring and trimming and doing my very, very best to make sure everything is nice and even. The result of that being these nice ribbon-like folds in the circle skirt and chef's kiss. Look how happy I am about this. I overlocked the entire perimeter of the hem of the skirt, and then I sewed in some horsehair braid because I wanted the skirt to have more volume. I really tried to secure this down, and then I pinned and folded it over and stitched it back on again. That doesn't make any sense, but that's what I did. Nearing the end of this project, and I am feeling it, so I cut out 2 small heart shapes out of red velvet, and I quickly pinned and sewed them both together like a little pillow. And again, this is a casual reminder to sew with your pins in, but sew very slow and cautiously. Quickly trimmed and clipped the edges so that they would fold over nicely, and then I glued a magnet to the inside of the heart. Flipped the whole thing inside out and then stitched the opening closed, and that's it. It's time to go take pictures! Took pictures, and I think it went pretty well, but it's cold. I know I originally said I didn't like this color of green, but it's kind of nice. And look at this makeup! I'm so proud of the way I did my little Whoville nose. Can I just say I think this worked out really well. Putting the horsehair braid in the hem of the skirt was absolutely the move. I was walking around that little Christmas village taking pictures. One lady walking by was like, "Oh, that looks like Minnie Mouse's skirt." And she's absolutely right. I mean, it's a completely different color, but the shape of it, it's very Minnie Mouse, and I'm happy about that. It fits really well. I was afraid that you'd be able to see a lot of the color distortion that happened from it hanging in the window. It was like kind of in this swoopy shape, and when I unfolded and washed the fabric, it definitely still had like lines in it, but you really can't tell, so I'm pretty happy about that. I had originally planned to put the heart actually on the costume, but like I wanted it where your actual heart kind of like sits. I didn't want to like right on the booby. I thought that looked a little tacky, so I ended up up pinning it onto the sweater that I paired the dress with, and I think that looked really cute. I'm a fan of it. Plus the magnet didn't really work out. It wasn't quite strong enough to hold itself up in between the layers. It really couldn't hold itself up. I needed a much stronger magnet, so I'll remember that for next time. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. More videos are on their way soon. And in this house, we craft in pajamas. Okay.